Welcome to the Gear Slum, your one-stop shop for all things guitar culture nonsense. I'm Aaron.
I'm your mom.
And I'm Cole.
Mom, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
I haven't talked to you since you died.
Goo.
It's nice to hear from you again.
I don't like that.
What's hell like?
You always complained that it was too cold in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. I hope you're happy
No.
now.
Warm for eternity. My mom's alive. I'm sorry for people whose moms are dead.
Yeah, Aaron.
I apologize if that was triggering to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you made yourself cry after hearing that.
Oh, I'm so sorry you made yourself cry. Guys, I want to talk about
Just
Disney
for the
Plus.
record, I'm not laughing at your pain. I'm laughing at my friend's audacity.
You can't even see my audacity.
Better be recording, though.
It is.
Everyone, for the last 2 weeks, everyone's been laughing at Phil's audacity.
Guys, but really, though, I want to talk about Disney Plus.
Okay, but before you do, I want to talk about how proud I am of Aaron
Audible.com.
for using his magic, because the problems with my audio in last week's episode, I perceived them to be minimal, but Aaron said he went in and worked.
Yeah,
some magic.
so we record 2 episodes at once on a single track, and it looks like your recording got kind of screwed up, like in the middle of that whole thing. So like the end of the first episode and the beginning of the second one, and it was worse in the beginning of the second one, but it actually made it easier, I think, to edit it out, because instead of you like cutting in and out,
You
you
could,
were
like,
just
actually
silent.
see it
You
on
were
the
just
track.
silent for like minutes at a time.
Well, it was really recognizable when
Which
during
a lot
the
of people
game.
appreciated.
Yeah, so there were some parts where it was like, I mean, there's parts of this
I
conversation.
loved that part where Phil
missing.
wasn't talking.
There's parts of the conversation missing, but it still makes sense with just 2 voices, so I'll just
Right.
leave it.
Right.
But if
But
you're
when it
really
was
paying
me
attention,
leading
you're
the
like,
game-
wait, what are they responding to?
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's you leading the discussion, it was a little worse.
And I know I think I mentioned this in our Facebook group, but I know that there are sometimes I'm intentionally being passive aggressive
Right.
by being silent, and then there were other times where I was not, and you guys acted the same. You acted the same.
Yeah.
Whether it was an audio issue of me probably talking and you guys listening to me,
Probably
or
talking.
me being silent, you seem to like,
We're just
not
used
care
to it by
either
now.
way.
Yeah.
It doesn't even faze us anymore.
So I apologize to all of our fan that the free podcast you enjoy was not up to your standards.
Oh, Phil.
What?
You're like gaslighting them.
Let me ask you, I have a question, a philosophical question, if you will.
Okay. This is Disney
If
Plus.
people give us money on Patreon,
Yes.
are they still just enjoying a free podcast and also giving us money, or are they paying for the podcast?
I mean, they're not paying for the podcast because that's not the agreement. The podcast is free.
Well, if
That's like giving a tip, I guess. But I guess to that point, like
But in this case, we get just the tip.
if
Because
I
the rest is free. Like they're not paying
I
and giving
find-
us a tip. It's just the tip.
if I find an old rich gentleman and start dating him, and he starts giving me money, am I a prostitute?
Yes.
But no, that wasn't the agreement.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's a philosophical art question and not
Okay.
like one with.
Well, I just gave you a philosophical answer.
I liked it. I approved
Good.
it. I appreciate it. It was an excellent metaphor. We are young, beautiful women, and our patrons.
I think the
Patrons?
Patreon is mostly just a way for my parents to give me money in a less embarrassing way, where they're just not giving me a handout because I'm a failure, you know.
Whatever.
They're just like, oh, we're supporting his art.
It's a nice way for people to tell us they want us to keep going, is how I think of it.
Yeah, totally.
With your money. Put your money where your mouth is.
Mostly my
on my
immediate
butt.
family.
Put your money on my butt where your mouth is.
The truth is, we have many patrons.
Patrons.
Very few of them are related to Cole Duke.
Yes,
That's true.
A couple of them are. It's more just the fact that not all patrons are related to me, but all of the people that are related to me are our patrons.
That's not
Which
true.
is a lot of people.
That's not true.
Yeah. I'm
I mean,
a Latter-day
especially
Saint.
compared to like how many people that are related to me or Phil support us financially.
Yeah, well, that's true. But
Except for our wives.
they don't want. But
Yeah, to be fair, you get a lot more financial support from your
but not
direct-
podcast financial support.
Yeah,
Right.
just like rent and food and
Just
stuff.
like home, just being alive. Which
Yes.
I'm good with. I accept.
I accept, and I don't periodically print stickers to give to my wife as a thank you.
That's true.
I was watching this episode of
I
that
do,
pedal
though.
show
I should though.
I do already. Don't worry
about the
it. Just got
Iridium.
Plenty of stickers.
The Strymon Iridium pedal.
Which video about it?
That pedal show.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's Dan and Meek. And
He's British, right? Mick?
yeah, they both are.
Well, I think Dan's Australian.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
They're just all criminals
Like if
over
he's
there, right?
Australian or yeah, they're descended from criminals and retarded monkeys.
Whoa.
That's a
Wow.
quote from Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, okay.
Is that
That's-
he's talking
which
about Australia or New
Is
Zealand?
one of the funniest. Well, that's like the premise of it is that this guy Aziz Ansari is being racist to them because they're Australian, and he's like, "No, you're thinking of Australia, mate. We're from New Zealand." It's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I had you guys all wrong." What was I just saying? Oh, and he was talking about how, like, they're very, you know, they have all this vintage gear and all these crazy tube amps, and that's kind of the premise of the videos. They're comparing it to the Iridium, and then he was like, and I know everyone's going to call me a Luddite and say that I don't like technology, but I actually use, he's like, I use technology every day and I'm familiar with it. It's just that I like the sound of tube amps and stuff. And then he
I
was
like the idea of like of picking on someone who makes tons of money off of YouTube for like not embracing
exactly.
technology.
I know.
Like you're
That's
not
the stupidest
you're not high
thing.
tech enough.
Oh, you
But
hate
also-
technology.
Then he threw in this little nugget which blew my mind and is like totally true. He was like, and also the Luddites weren't afraid of technology; they were afraid of starvation. And I was like, whoa. Because you know like when I think of Luddites, it's like an example is, you know, people who were like destroying printing presses in the early days of the printing press because their
right.
job was to hand copy books.
Yeah. In
it's
fact,
like
a
they
lot of
weren't-
people today are Luddites in that sense because now they're like, oh, we don't want machines to take our jobs, but like machines should take your jobs. So you
Yeah.
don't have to do those crappy jobs anymore.
But it's
But it is scary
But the
because
reason-
how do I eat?
yeah, exactly. The reason isn't because they think machines are dumb. It's because they want to be able to feed their families.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes. Dang, that's a good.
So-
That's like a deep
It
cut.
was-
I like that.
It was like a pretty deep that I wasn't expecting to get from a YouTube video about a guitar pedal, you know.
Yeah. That reminds me of.
How did it sound compared to the amps?
Oh yeah.
It was good, but I like the way they did it because they actually didn't have. They were like, we don't really have a deluxe reverb, so we're gonna use this super reverb, you know, like a 410 or some crazy thing, and yeah, we're gonna use. What did they use? They used like a 2 notes instead of a Marshall, and they were like, yeah, it's not the same amp, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it
ultimately,
is.
that's like not. I mean, the goal for an amp shouldn't be that you can like A/B it with another thing and you can't tell the difference. Like,
right. It should be that it sounds.
you ultimately
good.
just want something that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it actually sounded really good.
That's
And
cool.
of course, they were like, if we have any opposition to this, it's only because we like tube amps. So it's not rational. It's not like it's not
Right.
based on the fact that this is inferior in any way. It's just that we have a preference, and it isn't this.
I like that.
But the one thing that's annoying, and you hear this a lot. Have you heard the argument that, like, amp modelers, when people say like, "Oh, it sounds like recorded guitar,"
yeah.
I think that argument is kind of because what they're basically saying is it doesn't sound like an amp sitting next to me and me hearing the actual amp.
Right.
But like nobody else hears that either. They hear it through a mic and then through the PA system.
It only matters in the only difference that makes is in like the way that you monitor it.
Totally.
But if you're not
yes.
monitoring live on stage anyway, then it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, which is why for people who are like especially in the praise and worship world, in the CCM world, as you guys call it,
CCM is something different.
Yeah, that's different. And Aaron and
contemporary
I,
Christian music.
Yeah, CCM is like adult contemporary, but with talking about Jesus.
Oh, so it's okay.
It's like radio
So it's like a
stuff.
specific genre.
Yeah, whereas
this is so
praise
gross.
and worship is more. Although most of
It's just like live.
Most of the quote unquote praise and worship bands that are big are now on CCM radio as well.
And also a lot of the praise and worship bands that are small are doing covers of CCM songs largely, maybe.
No. Because CCM songs are like pop songs that sometimes talk about
Okay.
God.
So the contemporary piece is
Yeah.
people in church are playing more traditional, and then also
No.
some contemporary.
It would be more
No.
like it'd be so there's three different things. So there's like Christian rock.
I'm really striking out.
Christian
I've
rock
tried
is
about
like
4 times
rock and
to-
roll. Christian rock is like rock and roll with it's like rock and roll. It's not rock and roll with Christian themes. CCM is like top 40 radio, like adult
Okay, so it's
contemporary. Like it would be like
it's like
listening to,
Mandy
like
Moore.
Mariah Carey. Yeah, kind of.
back up.
It's like
Cool.
Selena.
The difference is in the intended purpose.
But it's made
of
to
the
listen
music.
to, and yeah, the praise
So-
and worship is supposed to be like singing it together.
Praise and worship is designed for we will sing this together in church, and then CCM
Because that's
is
like
for soccer
the-
moms listening in their car while they're driving around.
But
'Cause
there's a lot of
worship-
overlap because
There is
some of
overlap.
those church bands got really popular and people just listened to them.
Yeah, and now
And
they're
also-
playing them on the radio.
But neither, I mean, praise and worship isn't specifically like a stylistic distinction.
Right.
Although it has become that in a lot of ways, like shorthand for that. It's not really because it's anything that is used.
Yeah, it could be
in that
it could
corporate
be like
setting.
we sing praise and worship in my church, even though it's just an organ and people singing.
Exactly.
Yes. But yes, the labels have become a shorthand for a style of music,
Yes.
but that style of music has changed from, I mean, in 98 people were saying CCM, and
Yeah.
CCM in 98 was different than CCM right now.
Dude,
Right?
I was saying in the
Yes.
90s, I wasn't saying CCM, I was saying CCR, if you know what I'm saying.
CCM was SCC in the 90s.
Stephen Curtis Chapman.
The SEC?
Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Oh,
I'm so mad at myself that I know.
And
But I
MW,
followed your
MW
stupid
Smith. Oh, my
So-
W. Smith.
so I
I don't
legitimately-
even know who would be considered CCM now, like
so
casting crowns. or
somebody, it was,
Anyone that sounds like they should be on VH1.
I think it was Tim Bappelent who made a joke. I said something about I don't remember. And then he said, "Oh yeah, you're all about that CCM life." And I thought he meant the company that makes a lot of hockey equipment. And so I replied something about how I was the 2-time and still reigning intramural floor hockey champion because they stopped doing floor hockey after that year. And I was the goalie, and I was a freaking brick wall,
Nice. You were Goldberg.
and nobody got it. Exactly.
I remember there was I think it was a Frosted Flakes commercial, and this kid out on the soccer field in his soccer regalia,
I'm sorry, what?
He looks
on the pitch.
Out on a soccer field? Oh, soccer.
Yes.
I was thinking you said
And
hockey field.
He looks into the camera and he
It's like,
says,
what are you talking about?
he looks in the camera and he says, they call him the Wall. And he's referring to a young
The
man
goalie.
behind him, but he does a motion with his hand that does not resemble, in my mind, referencing someone behind you because of the rapid motion.
Oh, it looks like he's flipping him off.
No, it looks like he's masturbating. And I remember laughing so hard at that commercial and being so happy when the commercial came on. Oh, here's that commercial again. Here's that commercial. And because every time they call him the Wall and then he'd do the motion 3 or 4 times.
And they're like, we don't know why they call him the Wall, just because
Yeah.
he's always J&O.
Yeah.
That's rough.
My brother sent me this picture. His daughter is like a competitive swimmer, and so he was at the swim meet for like 2 hours yesterday, and they have these poles that they stick, like they have a number on the bottom. Like picture the little, like the down, the like marker pole in football that has the down on it but upside down. So like somebody standing on the side of the pool would stick this pole underwater and it has a number on it that tells you what lap you're on.
Oh, okay.
And then like when they're done with them, they just line them up against the wall and leave them there. So all these kids that were practicing before were using these poles, and then they just left them there during the whole meet.
Yeah.
And they had set all of them to 69 and left them there for the entire meet. And that's like what the entire audience, that's what they were looking at the whole time. And he was like, I've never had more hope for this generation than right now.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's
It's
ridiculous.
so dumb. It's good to know that some things never change, you know, that the jokes of yesterday are still the jokes of today. But to finish off what I was saying before, what was I saying? Oh, if you're sticking your amp in an ISO cab anyways, then just ditch the amp and get an amp simulator, you know.
Yeah, or it doesn't matter. Like you lose that point of comparison.
Yeah, ditch that
Exactly.
0 and get with this.
And
hero.
also, like, you don't sound that good regardless, so
Yeah,
don't
you
worry
sound
about it.
awful. You sound bad.
Like you're bad at guitars, so it
You're
doesn't
bad.
matter.
Jesus doesn't love you anymore. He did, and now he doesn't because you sound so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Is church? So I was listening to.
he's got bad theology. Is church what now?
Is church basketball a thing outside of my church?
I mean,
Because I was listening to Nate Bargatze.
I think anytime you get like a bunch of people together, you have basketball.
Anytime that 2 or more people are gathered in the name of Christ, you have basketball.
Like any large enough group of people, you're going to find like 10 people who are like, "Hey, let's play basketball."
Yeah, that's true. But is it a common, like,
A lot of churches do have gyms.
okay, because that's how, like, every LDS church has a basketball hoop in it, and it's
Yeah.
always known as, like, a thing. But I was listening to Nate Bargatze, and he's talking about how,
Dude, I should go slam on
like,
some
he kept getting cut from his high school basketball team, so he'd play
church basketball
on his church basketball team because you can't get cut from your church basketball team. He's like, that'd be awkward. Jesus is like, nah, you're not good enough to play on my team.
When I was growing up in the 90s, we had a church softball league and a church volleyball league that I would play in.
Okay, so would the volleyball, would you like set up a net in the same gym where you played basketball? Or was it beach volleyball?
No, we would. I think there was like several. They would do like tournament style mostly, so they would like rent out the city gym and have like 5 or 6 games going at once.
Okay. Because volleyball is the other big sport for us, because all of our gyms also have like the 2 holes in the floor where you can stick the volleyball poles in. And
like a high school gym standard. Kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
Dude,
then
I didn't tell you.
Pinewood Derbies are the third.
My old house is like
pole.
2 or 3 blocks from the LDS church here.
Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Aaron.
So I was driving around my new house the other day, And guess what I saw? Really close.
Yeah, dude.
Another one.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Church of Jesus Christ.
If you want me to, I
is
could
trying to DJ Khaled me.
If you want me to, I could have some young men reach out to you and let you
all right.
know like when
I
the
see them all the
worship
time, and
services
they
are
don't
held and stuff.
ever talk to me, so they're not concerned about my soul.
They can tell you're not rich enough. Like, no, we don't need this guy's tithing.
I take notes every time they come by, and don't try to evangelize me. I write it down.
Like, oh man, these guys are
rub it
gonna
in
have
their
hell to
face.
pay.
You know what you should do?
If these guys are right, they're gonna be screwed in the afterlife.
Aaron, you should take their picture and report them to the proper
Yeah,
LDS authorities.
send me their picture and I'll make sure their mission president finds out about it.
It's funny. They just
These
know.
racist missionaries aren't.
They see the glow of Christ around me, and they're like, "No, he's good.
So one thing that happens
He's more Christ-like
is,
than we will ever be."
so like on my mission, there would be 3 sets of missionaries that covered any given area, and it would be English, Spanish, and French-speaking missionaries. And so, like the Spanish missionaries, they wouldn't stop any white people that they saw, even though in theory, you can just like,
Right.
hey, if you want to learn about Christ, I'll have my English or French.
Well, the
brothers
Jehovah's
come over
Witness
and talk
ladies
you about
came to
it.
my house twice in one day, so
Yeah, did it work?
yeah. I mean,
Maybe our
they
missionaries are
work
just
in that
smarter.
I know who they are.
We had Jehovah's Witnesses come to our house the other day, and it's always like, you got to respect a Jehovah's Witness going door to door in Utah.
That's rough.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's pretty gutsy move.
yeah.
Like,
takes
guys,
guts.
we invented this, all right?
Well, I mean, come on.
Did you?
It's like some white guy opening a taco stand. It's like, no, we got this covered.
Like Mr. Bell
Mr. Belvedere?
when he opened
Mr. Belding?
Tacos Bell.
Oh,
Oh, of the Tacos Bell?
And then he changed it to Taco Bell later on.
it was called
Guys.
Mr. Bell's?
No, it's called Tacos Bell, I think.
Wait, really? Weird.
Yeah, maybe it was just called Taco
It-
Bell.
It wasn't until recently that I realized, like, and in hindsight, I remember that Taco Bell had like a little bell tower on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what their logo still is. And I never put that together, that that's a bell. And that's where the bell in the name is that bell.
But it is also a name of a person. Bell. Wait, do you say Taco Bell or Taco Bell?
Do you guys want to go to Taco Bell?
Taco Bell. I think I don't.
Don't overthink it.
Phil,
I
you
think
say
I don't
Taco Bell.
Do I?
You emphasize the taco.
Taco Bell.
And I say it like this. Hey, you guys want to hit up Taco Bell?
You guys want to go to Taco Bell?
Oh, dude, it was founded by a guy named Bell.
Yeah, I know. I have
His
knowledge.
name wasn't Taco. His name wasn't Taco,
I
though.
didn't say his name was Taco.
Well, you implied it.
I never implied it.
I inferred it.
You definitely seem to have. Dude, did you guys... Let's talk sports for a minute. Did you guys watch the Thursday night football game?
No, but I went back and watched
I've-
the replay of that
So
fight.
all
No,
that matters is the end.
I have heard.
Phil, you got to watch this. If you like violence, senseless violence, but that's like kind of inane, like no one's really going to get hurt.
If you like career-ending violence,
Okay, I don't want to like
It
completely
may have ended the
undercut.
career of one guy, but not the guy that got hit. So
I don't want to completely undercut where you're headed with this, but like there was a school shooting the same day where multiple people were killed, and
Yeah.
way more people have talked about the fight in the football game. than
yeah,
that.
Aaron.
yeah,
Which I think maybe that's a good thing because like
yeah,
I don't know, you don't want to give publicity to.
correct.
I don't
Well,
know that it
here's-
makes copycat crimes, but
I'm
that's
not
like
saying-
what people are. It's like a cry for attention, essentially.
I'm not saying this is okay, but I will say
Oh,
culturally, we do kind of revel in well-off people, whether that is their financially well-off or their status of some kind, celebrity, getting taken down a notch or two. So some dude losing it on the football field who's a professional athlete And the idea of like, I can't believe it, and now he's going to lose his job. Like for some reason, we're kind of
I
obsessed
don't want him
with
to
those
lose
things.
his job.
It's a lot more enjoyable to see someone breaking the rules than to see someone breaking the law.
Yes.
Like, it's more fun to see, like, the stakes are pretty low. My favorite in football fights is when people just swing like a bare fist at somebody's helmeted head.
Dude, that happened in this fight too.
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Like, you could hit him with a hammer and it wouldn't hurt him. Like, you're going to hurt your hand more than you're going to hurt him.
Well, and that
it makes
just
absolutely
proves
no sense.
That just proves that they're like mentally, like they're completely checked out, right? Like if you're thinking
right, it's just rage. It's not like
yeah,
yeah,
you're not
totally.
thinking
Not-
clearly enough.
yeah, it's not
There's
rational.
also, like, there's nothing that person did that any other person hasn't done in every other football game you've played in. Like, every other team you played against wants you to lose and wants to win,
Well, here's the thing about football is that, like, unlike other sports, I mean, I guess you could say hockey, it kind of has elements of violence in it, and they fight. But football
Yes.
is like actively violent constantly.
Exactly.
But it's the one
and,
sport
like,
where
dangerous.
you're really not allowed to do anything between plays.
It's, like, dangerously violent, too.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
football
crazy.
is way more dangerous than hockey, all things
Right.
considered. And
Like in hockey, you wear the helmets mostly so that if you get hit with a puck, you don't die. Like, it's not really about, like, getting hit by people.
And if, like, you get checked, you might slide into the boards and hit your head or something.
Right,
but, like,
right.
nobody's hitting head-to-head in hockey.
Yeah.
And in hockey, the fact that the fighting is, like, well understood means that fights never go crazy because like, oh, the ref lets you throw a few punches or whatever, and then they break you up, and then you go back to your side, and everything's fine.
That's why it's
But
crazy.
in football, it's like all this pent-up aggression.
Except then they
Nobody can
started
ever get
showing
out.
this clip of, do you remember, you know who Marty McSorley is? He's like an old player.
The guy from Back to the Future?
No. Marty McSorley is a hockey player.
I don't.
Anyway,
Oh.
they started showing this clip on some of the sports shows about where he, like, swung his stick at some dude's head
Oh, yeah,
Thanks.
dude.
from behind. Like, chopped him on the side of the head.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
like and there's like some pretty insane like it's not Rudy Tomjanovich, is it?
I don't
Maybe
know.
it is. The guy who's the Rockets coach for a long time,
Yeah, I don't
who
know.
had like scars all over his face. It's because he got punched in the face in a fight in a basketball game, and it like collapsed his entire face.
What?
Yeah, just like completely destroyed his face.
No, that's rough.
Well, and that's how, like, I was an Avalanche fan growing up, and Claude Lemieux was kind of known for being dirty. And there was that one famous hit he had on that Red Wings player from behind, and like hit his face into the boards, but at the bench, so there wasn't like glass. So he basically like curb stomped him in a hockey game,
What?
And it was way rough. Like you picture what I'm saying, right? Like into the top of the board where they climb over to get off the bench or whatever. Yeah. And it was the year that they won the maybe it was against the Panthers. They beat the Panthers in the Stanley Cup, but the Red Wings and Avalanche had like this huge rivalry. But yeah, that was
Did the Avalanche, were they an expansion team or did they move from somewhere else?
They were the Quebec Nordiques.
Okay, so that's why they had the
Yeah.
Quit being such a
Yes.
Nordique.
And that's why like they had a bunch of Quebecois players. Like Patrick Roy was like from Quebec City.
Patrick Roy.
That's where
Quebecois.
they were in Quebec City,
Quebec.
which is like a couple hours east of Montreal. But that's why I'm like a. And if you buy like retro Avalanche stuff, you can get Nordique stuff from the Avalanche store or whatever.
Nice.
So
Nice.
go check out that hit by Claude Lemieux.
Go
Also,
check it out.
Monday Night Football was freaking amazing too.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good.
Crazy overtime. Overtime rules are so dumb in the NFL, though. What do you think, Phil?
Sports. Many people love sports. Some people.
Webster's Dictionary defines sports as
I'm making my freshman write introduction paragraphs, and oh man, it is rough. The first sentences.
oh.
It's so
And-
great.
In their defense, that is like one of the hardest parts. of writing. If you're writing something long, is like the very first sentence in the the thesis statement.
Well, and this. Okay, so I had to do this.
That's true.
I had to do this thing this week. We do this
Shut up, Aaron.
district writing assessment, and every kid in the district takes it. Freshmen, sophomores, everybody, junior, seniors, and
Everybody. You can just say
everybody.
Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
Yes, and
Freshmen, sophomores, everybody, junior, senior.
the same prompt, and they're given 65 minutes to read 2 passages, decide what they want to write, and write it in 65 minutes. And some kids, you could tell that they're panicking, right?
Yeah, from minute 1.
Their first sentence is like, nurses are a wonderful profession when it comes to the severity of keeping people alive. What? No. I know this is going to be bad.
It's like they're doing some Mad Lib. They're just like choosing every 5th word that was in the thing they read.
Dude, my favorite bad opening line that I still remember from an essay I said something like, technology has been around for a few years now. Yes.
so amazing.
Do you guys remember? Okay, there was an account. This is early Twitter days. There was this dude who had a Twitter account called "Shh, Don't Tell Steve," and he was a college kid, and it was, I have a crazy roommate, and I'm just like writing, like I'm just tweeting all the things that my crazy roommate does. And I was
obsessed.
Like
stuff my dad says, basically.
Yes. And I was obsessed with this account. And one of the things he goes, I sat down at the desk in our apartment, and and Steve's computer was open, and he was working on an essay for, I'm assuming, a history class. And then he goes, and there's only one sentence typed. And it was, since the dawn of time, man has waged wars. And that was the only thing written. Like, he wrote that sentence and then got up and left.
Either that, or he's writing like the script of a movie trailer or something. That's so great. I just went and looked that up, and his last tweet was in 2011.
Dude, I was so obsessed with that account. Oh,
we live in a fun time now.
No legs. He couldn't see, hear, or speak. This is how he led a nation.
What?
What?
It's fun to be in a day when social media has been around for a very long time.
Yeah, a few years now.
And so you can look back and like the same platforms, like MySpace was around forever, but you're not going to go dig back into someone's MySpace because it's probably all gone now.
Mm.
Like the fact that I can go look at this guy's tweets from 2011.
2011
the only
seems
downside
like
of that
such a long time ago.
What's that?
That seems like such a long time ago. I didn't even think Twitter was like that old.
Yeah, Twitter was like 2008 or something.
Yeah, at least. Like that's when it probably became more
popular. Part of it is because in my mind it's still just after 2010. Like if someone says 2000, if someone says 2005, it's like, oh yeah, that was a couple years ago. It's like, no, that was 14 years ago.
True. 2019, folks.
Plus, I love
that it's going to be 2020 before you know it.
My favorite thing about the fact that social media goes back so far is that if somebody ever said something questionable, you can ruin their life for it.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
which I'm totally on board
remember
with.
when you made that joke about that thing?
Remember when you were in high school and you said that thing that is regrettable now in hindsight? Like, oh, that means you don't get to be a successful adult.
Like, no, I don't remember that.
Oh, man. Meanwhile, like, for our freaking government, it's like, remember when you went to that party in college and like raped all those women? Nah.
It didn't happen. I didn't tweet
that's
about
just
it.
How things,
I didn't tweet
that's
about
just
it.
how things were back then. It was a different time.
I think you are mistaken.
Were you probably were drinking beer at that time.
I was just having a good time.
Guys, I like beer.
I was just hanging out with Squeaky Dan and guys, isn't it great that dude is our Supreme Court justice now?
No.
Oh, it's so great.
America's so great again.
It's
so
it's
great.
not
again.
great.
It's great again.
The best argument.
When we were filming,
I watch a bunch of stand-up comedy on YouTube.
Okay.
And a lot of it is old. And there was this one bit from around that time, and they were like, "Can't we just like find another person?" I mean, it's not like he's our only option, and it's like, well, hopefully he didn't rape this girl, but like he's our only choice. Like, just find another. Like, if it has to be a Republican, just find another Republican. There's probably thousands of people who could be as good a Supreme Court justice as this guy.
That's true.
No, it's going to be this guy. Doesn't matter.
Well, no,
Sorry, Aaron,
because
what were you saying?
at that point, it was we can't back down now.
Exactly.
Because
it's about winning the argument.
Because you liberals, if we give you this inch, then you're going to take a mile.
Exactly.
Because yes, there were plenty of other white dudes. they had lined
plenty
up.
of white men who have rich people's best interests in mind. Like, there were so many to choose from.
I bet you could even find one that didn't rape rape people when he was younger. I'm guessing there's one.
Well,
there's got to be. I mean, the law of averages would
There
tell
has to be
you that.
one, probably maybe two. Definitely one.
Good.
I kid, guys. I kid. Come on. Oh no, what I was going to say is, go ahead.
I'm sure they could find at least one where no one was accusing him of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chances of finding one who didn't actually do it are slim, but yeah.
It does kind of seem like everyone was just like going around raping in the 70s and 80s. Like date raping and like really just nasty stuff.
Or like it honestly, like, yeah, it was a very, I don't know. I feel like even just the way that I started that sentence, there's no way that it can end well. Because I'm going to be like, it was a different time.
Well,
like,
I mean,
women
part
weren't
of
back
it is that like, not that it was necessarily a different time, but like we've just have a very different understanding of things now, where you could get away with things then that you would never get away with now. So it is weird, like looking at it through a perspective like 30 or 40 years later.
Yeah. It's weird that we have like nostalgia. Like, people talk about like, oh, nowadays things are so terrible and oh, things are so great back then. And it's like, no, things have gotten better.
Yes.
Like, things were awful before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you just didn't know about it, or that's just not what you hear about. Like, oh, you want to go back to when you were dying when you were 40 of like all these different diseases we cured?
Remember that? That was so
like,
good.
Granted, I think we're too obsessed with keeping people alive nowadays, but still, like, it's probably better that we can not die of all these random sicknesses.
I mean, I guess, yeah. In a manner of speaking.
I was listening to Jen Kirkman was on Never Not Funny, and she does this bit about Baby It's Cold Outside, and she's kind of like, she's a self-professed feminist, you know.
Who is this?
Jen Kirkman. She's a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about how like everyone is getting it wrong with Baby It's Cold Outside, because it's become like this thing of like, oh, we shouldn't sing that song because it's about this guy trying to like basically take advantage of this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, the whole premise of the thing was like she wanted to stay there, but she was more worried about what people were going to think about her.
It's true.
And it's like, so that's actually, I mean, it's a condemnation of society at the time, but in a very different way. And that kind of blew my mind.
That is
it's
kind
like
of
pretty
mind-blowing.
You got to be like a pretty deep feminist to be arguing for Baby It's Cold Outside, you know. But I appreciate it. Like, we've come full circle on it.
That reminds me of I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he was talking to Chuck Klosterman, and they were talking about the Joker movie, and it hadn't come out yet, but so Klosterman hadn't seen it yet. But he was talking about this like phenomenon that he had noticed, where he's like, basically before anything happens, you already know like what the take is going to be. You just have to decide like which side you're on.
Exactly.
So it's not even like you're not even allowed to have like a unique take like that. For example, like her position is so outside it's basically like this song is creepy. You either are for it or against
Yes,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
So it's refreshing to hear someone like actually think about something.
Dude, Chuck Klosterman, I freaking love every podcast he's on because kind of like that nugget from that pedal show video. Like he's such a deep thinker.
Yeah.
You're not really expecting it from this stupid podcast about sports and gambling and stuff like that. But,
Have you read any of his books? I've read most of them, but I like him a lot.
Oh yeah, I've read it, totally.
They're super. They're like, it's funny because
throughout his, I actually wrote a book report on one of them.
Did you?
Throughout history, men
men
have waged wars.
He's like because he writes about pop culture, so it's really easy to read and like you can get it right
Yeah,
away.
totally.
But he like digs deep and talks about philosophy and stuff. I like him.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting. What was that one where he was talking about art on that? I mean, it was a fairly recent podcast he did with Bill Simmons. Oh crap! No, I'm not even.
It's
gonna
probably
try.
the same
He was talking
one.
about his writing and how like artists, like it's a big difference if you're making something to be liked versus making something that you like to make.
Oh right, yeah.
I don't remember what the upshot of it was. But he's one of those people that clearly thinks about things. I always appreciate somebody who cares deeply about something that they shouldn't necessarily. I guess it's like how Bill Simmons is with sports. Like
Right.
sports, by any measure, is inconsequential and meaningless, you know.
Right.
But when you care deeply enough about something, you can come up with some interesting things about it.
Yes, I like that too. That's
Like
why I
us
like science writing, and even though I don't care about science, I think science is against the word of God, so I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Of course.
I don't believe in physics. I don't believe in acoustics. The Bible doesn't
Oh,
talk
you're like
about
Ricky Gervais?
I don't
acoustics.
believe in measuring things.
It's like, I don't believe in God. I believe in science. And I know about science because I'm a comedian. Like, give me a break. Freaking Ricky Gervais. Stay in your
Freaking
lane.
Ricky Gervais. Oh, that's funny.
It's kind of something that doesn't, like, it's not cool to care about things anymore, right?
That's true, yeah.
And that sucks. Like, it's more like
I think it's becoming
the tendency
cool again,
is
though.
to, maybe it is.
It's like
the
a very
tendency
like
is to
Gen
poke
X
fun.
and early millennial thing to be kind of obtuse and abstract, where now earnestness is kind of back in vogue.
Yeah. Like growing up for us, you made fun of people who were earnest about anything,
Yeah, yeah.
especially about going to camp or going to jail or
Jail.
just being scared stupid. They're earnest. Come on.
Or saving Christmas.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Wait, can you name them all?
I forgot he went to jail.
Yeah, dude.
Can you name them all?
No.
Jail's
don't-
so funny, guys.
don't Google it.
There's
Those
so
are the-
much
that's-
hilarious.
Those are the only ones I know.
I'm-
Does he
I'm
join
out.
the army at one time?
I already
Ernest
said
goes
goes
to
to camp.
Yes. Camp,
Goes to jail.
Jail.
Saves Christmas.
saves Christmas, scared
Ernest
Ernest
stupid.
scared stupid.
Same saves Christmas. I'm sorry. Scared stupid. Is there more?
I think it's the 4. Now Google it.
Ernest
Maybe there was a direct
There's
video after that.
Gotta be more.
movies. What was his? Varney, right? Jim Varney.
Yeah. Varney.
Hey,
I love
Vern.
it. Even his name, he looks like a Varney.
Ernest P. Worrell. I wonder if he's related to Clifton Worrell.
Oh, dude. I love.
Oh,
like,
Ernest Goes to School.
School? What?
It was the 6th one.
Ugh.
I hope it was like him as a kid, and they found some child actor to act like Ernest.
That's sad. If that was,
Was it like a Billy
All
Madison
right.
scenario?
So there was one called Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam, but that was just a cameo role, so that doesn't count.
No.
So
it
there's
does not
Wait,
count.
there was another movie that took place in the Ernest universe, and he just was a cameo? Or you're just saying him as an actor?
That was the first one. No, that's the first time that I think that was a Jim Varney
Oh,
movie.
so it's like,
And-
like how The Simpsons was on the Tracy Ullman show first, and then
Ernest
became
showed
their own
up
thing.
as a disguise for Dr.
or
Otto.
it's like Frasier.
Okay, you guys are about to have your minds blown right now.
Uh oh, Ernest
There was Ernest
has
Goes
his
to
mind
Camp.
blown?
1987. Ernest Saves
80?
Christmas in 1988. In 1990, Ernest Goes to Jail. 91, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yes.
He's a hard-working man in show business.
1993, Ernest Rides Again.
Okay, I remember. Yeah, like Herbie. That's his take on...
Okay, the rest are all direct to video. But 1994, Ernest Goes to School, which looks like I think that Billy Madison ripped this one off.
Dude, that'd be great. No, because Billy Madison...
I'm just kidding. Number
Ernest Rides Again. We should have gotten that one.
In 1995, Slam Dunk Ernest.
Dude, did Airbud rip off Ernest?
starring Jim Varney and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, no. That is rough.
1997, Ernest Goes to Africa.
Ugh.
And 1998, Ernest
Was
in
Kareem
the
in
Army.
that one, too?
I was right. There is an Army one. Ernest in the Army, 1998. There are.
But you just got lucky on that, though. That, like, you didn't
Dude.
know that.
Okay.
There
what
are
was he
nine Ernest films.
Jeez.
Spanning
What was he like? 50-something
11
years old
years.
when he goes to goes to the army? That's stupid. Well, wait, sorry, they're all stupid. But
Oh, sorry.
Wait, people that go to the army are stupid?
wait, he's
Phil.
saving Christmas.
I'm pretty
Hey,
sure
I
the
wanna
only
make
reason they stopped is because he died in 2000. That's sad.
yeah.
Of what?
Of probably
Broken
being
heart?
1,000 years old.
I think it was like
Oh, yeah, he was a
lung
vampire,
cancer.
right?
In
A
this
real-life
film,
vampire?
Ernest joins the army because he wants to drive large vehicles, but ends up being sent into combat.
It's like, Ernest, dude, there are other ways you can drive large vehicles. You don't have to do this.
Just go, get a monster truck rally or
Become a
something.
truck driver or something. Like, they're always looking for new truck drivers.
Let's see.
Do like a 2-week training.
In this film, Ernest unknowingly comes into the possession of some stolen jewels and is kidnapped and brought to Africa, where he must rescue the woman he loves.
No. I bet that movie is very uncomfortable to watch in 2019.
Yes.
In this movie, Ernest joins his employer's basketball team and later becomes a star with the help of an angel, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh my gosh. Have you guys seen that SNL sketch where they're like giving this advertiser, it's like this advertiser award banquet, and they're giving this guy the Lifetime Achievement Award, and they're like, he's known for his great, public service announcement advertisements in the 90s. And so they play a couple of them, and one of them is this anti-drug thing. And this kid's like, no, man, I don't do drugs. Doing drugs is gay. And then it cuts to the end, and it's like this woman's voice. Remember, kids, doing drugs is gay. And he's like,
Is that real?
yeah. No, it's Larry David playing the guy.
Oh, it was on SNL.
Yeah, on SNL.
Yeah.
It's pretty. And then the last one is like,
Oh, that's rough.
something is as small as a midget, or like it's this total stretch just so they could find another like word that's been canceled.
Offensive. Yeah.
Man. Guys, I want to talk about Disney Plus.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Have you been on there?
I
Yes.
signed up for it yesterday because we had to watch Endgame.
Yesterday, I signed up for it so I could watch some Star Wars movies.
Simpsons. Oh, is
But my-
Mandalorian on there?
It is.
Oh yeah.
What's Mandalorian? Sorry to-
Mandalorian is about a bounty hunter.
So it's like it's like an offshoot deal.
So
Yes.
the Mandalorian is a Star Wars series that takes place in the Star Wars universe, but
I love the tone of Phil's voice. Like,
Jeez.
guys, let me take this. I got this.
as of yet does not have any Star Wars characters. But
No, Lando Calrissian is in the first episode.
no, he's not. You
Yeah, he is.
racist. You are a racist.
That's not him?
for getting him confused.
No, dude, it's Lawrence
with a
Fishburne.
different-
It's not Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, who is that dude then?
That's Apollo Creed.
Is Apollo Creed is not Lando Calrissian?
Correct.
Is it Yaphet Kotto? Who plays Lando?
Jamie Foxx, obviously.
I murder you.
Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers
is not the dude from. Oh, that's the dude from Happy Gilmore.
Yes, Carl Weathers. Yes, Carl Weathers is in Happy Gilmore.
Dude, did he get it?
Mandalorian and Rocky.
Wait, you said and the Mandalorian?
Yes.
Wait, I thought you just said he was.
No, Lando Calrissian is not Carl
Billy
Weathers.
D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure because I'm looking at it on the internet right now. I'm not sure.
It's not racist. They both have very similar hair and mustaches.
They do. Like, they have, yeah. I mean, it's a little...
Plus, who the heck is Billy D. Williams? He's nothing.
It's true. Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
It's not racist. I just think they look alike. Those two people.
Okay. All right.
Not because they're
Have a
black, just
similar
because
look.
they look alike.
Remember, like, when you were bald and everyone said, oh, you look like Dr. Phil? You don't actually look like Dr. Phil.
That's true.
You do look a little bit like Dr. Phil. Or that's like what people say, like,
You don't even
you
look like
remind me of
Master
Jack.
Phil.
You don't even look like... never mind.
You look like Bachelor Phil.
I was going to say...
I'm sorry.
I was going to say
rude.
Senior Phil, but it's like, that's not because it's less. Like, you were going down the scale. It was like, no, it was just another
Mr. Phil.
way to address somebody.
Do people call you... I wish your kids called you Mr. Phil.
Oh, that would be very good.
It'd be so awkward.
When I was a classroom aide, I worked with kids with emotional problems, but there's a next door classroom with lower functioning kids, and they all the staff in that program went by their first names, and so all those kids would call me Mr. Phil.
That's so great.
I would. Here's why. Because if you were Mr. Phil, then if you ever did get your PhD, they would have to call you Dr. Phil. They couldn't like change
Yeah.
all of a sudden your name just because you're a doctor.
That's a good point.
So tell us about the Mandalorian again.
I like it.
But it's not. It's like, what was that other offshoot movie that came out like between years?
Rogue
Recently.
One.
So there's been Rogue One,
Solo.
and there's been the Han Solo movie.
Was Rogue One not Star Wars 7?
Rogue One was Star Wars
not
3.5.
numbered.
It was like
Yes.
it took place immediately preceding Episode 4.
Right. Aaron is
okay.
correct.
Boom.
The
I don't
end
think
of
I've seen that one.
Have you
the
seen
end
Episode
of Rogue
4?
One.
I've seen that.
The first
well,
one, the original.
I'm sure I have, like,
New
over the
Hope.
course of my life.
So the whole
The
time
last-
they're like going after these, like they're looking for the plans and protecting the plans of the Death Star. Rogue
Yeah,
One is
yeah.
basically about how they get those plans.
I
The
like
last 10 minutes.
I like a
of Rogue
science
One.
fiction movie that's based on the construction industry
Yeah.
and process.
That's why I like
Cool, the
Episode
last-
1 so much because I
the last
really
10
like
minutes-
movies about like tax and like just really
Tax
like
code.
diplomatic
yes,
arguments.
Senate hearings.
The last 10 minutes of Rogue One is like goes straight into
Yeah, like immediately
episode-
following it.
for A New Hope.
A New Hope, Episode
Okay.
4.
And if you
I like
if you
that.
watch them back to back, it's pretty awesome.
I bet it's pretty shocking, right? That, like, because Rogue One has modern graphics and stuff, modern special
I think
effects.
they tried really hard to like.
Okay,
not
did they
make
try
it-
to like maintain the style of it or whatever?
Yes.
Well, now it's so like when they did the prequels, it was all that stuff was new, kind of. So they really went
Yeah.
after it. But now it's been around enough that they can like use that stuff, but still make it feel almost
Yeah.
natural.
Like the day of the prequels do not hold up at all because they were so early in special effects that it's like the special effects are terrible.
I'm gonna
It was like
watch
those
them
first.
again.
It was like those first Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Actually, if you want a real special effects trip, go watch the first Batman, Tim Burton Batman.
Oh, why?
It's just the special effects are terrible and beautiful in the same, in different ways. You know.
I'm not remembering
That's
like.
crazy.
I mean, I know there's like, in my mind, I'm assuming there's a lot of practical special
Yeah.
effects, but
Like any and a lot of models, like scale models.
oh, okay.
Like any shot of the city is so obviously a scale model.
I see.
That it's
Okay.
it's pretty cool though, you know. Like it's not it's kind of boring. Like anything you do in a movie now, you just do CGI.
Yeah.
Like anything you want to do that isn't just 100% based in reality, like no, we'll just do CGI.
Yeah. That's part of the.
No
that
big
is
deal.
one of the things I like
It's
about
kind of a
the old
bummer.
Star Wars movies is just watching the models and stuff, and like, even though it's you can see
Yeah,
the
totally.
seams a lot of times, so to speak. That's kind of
Yeah.
the charm of it.
How insane is it that like one of the most lasting characters from Star Wars and like the wisest person is a Muppet that sounds like Grover.
It's pretty insane.
People in the 70s were so stupid.
So Phil, is there
Sorry,
any
Phil.
indication
I didn't mean
as
for that to be
like
a direct attack at you.
as to when in the Star Wars saga
Yes.
the Mandalorian takes place?
Yes, it is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
The collapse of the
Empire.
Empire.
Cool.
Did you
Why
guys
do
know?
the Jedi keep screwing everything up? That's what I want to know. Why do the Jedi keep like screwing everything up?
They're gone.
They're hapless. They returned.
They were murdered. They were executed.
Yeah, but first they were not. First they were around,
That's true. And they blew it big time.
and they blew it.
They boned it so hard.
But you know why? Hubris.
Yeah.
true.
So why they're not supposed to be immune to that stuff?
No, humorous.
It was a humorous movie. if That's what you're saying.
Hubris.
It's a little humorous. It's a little humorous, I guess. So, but here's what I really wanted to say about Disney Plus. Everyone's talking about this new stuff, but I was scrolling through the available things on there.
Yes,
There's some real gems.
there are.
Rookie of the Year.
First of
Many
all-
of the movies we've discussed on this podcast.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. My friend Owen Shane last night texted me. He goes, "Dude, Disney Plus has all the movies that you talk about on your podcast." Like it's so
It's
true.
like, wait, it has Booty Tang?
It probably does.
Wadata.
Has Boy Meets World on there?
Yeah, dude.
Like it's crazy how much is on there.
Have you watched any of The Simpsons yet?
No,
I can't
It's-
wait to watch the
but
Black
my free
Hole.
trial ends Wednesday, so I got a lot of watching to do in the next couple days.
Have you guys ever seen the Black Hole?
No,
So it was from like I think it
I
was
can't bend over that far.
very
I've seen a movie called The Black Hole, but I don't think it's the one on Disney Plus.
very I think it was early 80s. It might be late 70s. And every few years I like look online and try and see like could I get a copy of Black Hole, and they're like way too expensive, and I'm like forget it, never mind. But now it's streaming on Google on
Is
Disney
it like
Plus.
a cult classic type thing now?
I don't know why Disney locked down and like didn't do any. I think they might have done. They did some printing on Laserdisc.
So it's not overtly racist like all the other stuff that Disney's tried to lock out of their history.
I don't believe that's the reason. But I'm not sure. I never.
It is called The Black Hole, so there's a chance.
It's science fiction.
I'm just saying.
There's-
You could be remembering it wrong.
There's a lot of stuff online about like the different content warnings on some of the movies.
Yes.
on Disney Plus.
Oh.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yes. What's the content warning on Lady and the Tramp? What is it? What do they call it?
I can't remember.
We got to look it up because it's really funny. The wording. I was like, that is brilliant.
I've
Please,
seen
let's just do that instead of like
A
deleting.
lot of them just say outdated cultural depictions.
That's what I think. That's what it is.
Yeah.
which is like their way of saying like, guys, this is going to be like racist or homophobic or, sexist. Just know ahead of time. It was okay back then. The one complaint I've seen about The Simpsons is that they crop it to be 16:9.
That's culturally insensitive.
And the one thing they point to is this one joke when they go to the Duff Brewery and they show these 3 vats that say Duff Light and Duff Dry, and then it like pans all the way out and they're all being fed from the same tube above, which is like a funny joke, but it's like,
Yes.
I don't know, is that one joke worth like not having 30 seasons worth of The Simpsons in full screen, you know?
Yeah, why do they do that? That's weird.
It is, well, I guess, like, I guarantee if they kept it the original aspect ratio, there would be 10 times as many people complaining that it doesn't fill the whole screen, you know?
I know, but that's like...
You'd think they'd give you
just
the
tell
option,
them,
though.
You're dumb.
Yeah, like...
That's what people always would do before. Like, if it wasn't Letterboxd, they'd be like, oh, well, the top and bottom are cut off. Like, no, they're not.
Yeah. And also,
they're
like...
showing you everything.
Yeah. Like, that's the whole point.
Nobody said that it's cutting it off. They just said, I don't want to stare at black
bigger.
boxes.
I want to see it bigger.
People, I heard a lot of people say that parts were cut off.
But also, like, that happens in every... Like, movies in the theater a lot of times aren't 16 by 9. They're like anamorphic widescreen, and then they crop
wider,
it.
Yeah.
They crop it down to make it 16 by 9, so it's still happening, you know.
I know, it's stupid. Everything should be in the original.
But
aspect.
The Simpsons is pretty crazy. I started watching season 2 last night, and like you can see the cells, you know, like it's background with cells on top of it, you know, and you can very clearly see, and it's pretty fascinating. It looks terrible in some ways, but it's also kind of a cool sort of vestige of the past, you know. And also The Simpsons is freaking amazing. And I think is underrated if that's possible.
Dude, so is Black Hole.
We're talking
Black Hole, son.
Black Hole, son.
Black Hole, son.
Won't you come and wash away the rain?
Like Simpsons.
Disney Plus will fix The Simpsons' joke destroying 16:9 aspect ratio starting in 2020.
Oh,
but most of those posts I've seen are joke posts though, and they're pretty funny. I saw one that was like, from now on, all Simpsons episodes will be shown in 12 by 1 aspect ratio, and it's just like this little sliver down the middle of the screen.
Oh man.
I think Simpsons is a much better show than Seinfeld or Friends, and you don't hear it mentioned in the same. I guess because it's not live action, but
I mean, Seinfeld and Friends are very different. Seinfeld is really good, and Friends is
Friends is just like wide. It has broad appeal, like it appeals to broads, you know.
Yeah, broad appeal.
It's got that broad appeal. This podcast
Like
has outdated cultural depictions.
Warning.
Broad appeal. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime broad. Wait, that's not how it goes.
Tell
Telephone.
me I'm your own. We watched Endgame last night too. That movie's
guitars.
That movie's good.
Endgame?
Have you guys seen? You guys heard of these Avengers?
I liked it.
You guys heard about this thing though?
I think it was quite popular actually.
Oh, was it? I thought it was kind of a. You guys should check it out. It's called The Avengers Endgame.
That's one of those Marvel movies.
It has this character that has a ball sack for a chin. It's pretty cool. It's purple. It's a purple ball sack for a chin. But it's infuriating to watch those movies. Like you have Captain spoilers for Endgame coming. Captain Marvel is like the coolest superhero in the history of superheroes because she's like a cooler version of Superman.
Right.
But so she flies in, you know, like, oh, we hear this disturbance in the far reaches of the universe, and then she flies in, destroys this ship that's like the size of a metropolitan city, you know, just by flying through it. Yes. And then she lands next to Thanos and starts like punching him in the face. Like, just fly through him and destroy him, and then the whole movie's over. Like, you could have just murdered him with your mind, and the whole thing, like, they're so. For how many?
No, dude, you can't kill him until you go back and change things first.
No, but this was when they were trying to kill him. They were like actively trying to kill him because he was trying to get the glove, the power glove from Lucas. They're going to the World Nintendo Championships.
Yeah.
This is an end game? I remember that movie.
Yeah, dude. That took place. That was set in Utah.
Parts of it were in California, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're traveling from Utah to California.
That's the destination.
They get to those dinosaurs over there in
yeah, dude.
Morongo.
Yep. Right next to Casino Morongo.
Man, I drove past those so many times as a kid.
I didn't.
You guys, Hannah Montana is on Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, all the Disney shows are. You know what else is on there? High School Musical, the musical, the series is on there.
Oh my gosh!
Which is apparently a series about the same high school where High School Musical was made, and now they're making a musical version of the movie at the school. It's very meta.
Wait a
That is
minute.
very
Are you
meta.
saying it's like the like The Hills
No, I'm pretty sure it's fictional.
or the real OC? Oh, okay.
Oh, you think The Hills isn't fictional?
No, I mean it's like strictly fictional.
Cool.
Guys, I've been catching up on because I've missed a few episodes. I've been catching up on Jersey Shore Family Vacation, and let me tell you,
How's that working out?
it's
for you?
crazy. It's crazy. Jen is dating this 24-year-old guy named Zach.
And this
She's
is
like
crazy because
38.
Jen is significantly younger than that or older than that.
She's like 38,
Okay.
Oh.
and she just got divorced from like a 40-something-year-old man. But 24, as they call him.
Yeah, dude. Oh wait, they call him 24.
They call him 24, yeah.
Dude.
Because he's 24 years
They should
old.
call him Jack Bauer. That'd be way funnier.
It would be, but they just call him 24. He touched Angelina's butt.
What? Like against her will?
I don't know. It remains to be seen. The drama has yet to unfold completely. But Chris is mad, and Chris is Angelina's fiance.
But wait, though, in what context did she touch? Oh,
So they're in
a character
club.
named Angelina. I thought you said Angelina Jolie. Did I just fill that
They're
in
a
with my
club.
brain?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
They're in a
Really? You
club.
did not say?
I definitely
Angelina
did not
Jolie?
say Jolie.
Oh, that's not good.
So Angelina.
So it's Jersey
You
Shore
had me at
Crew
Angelina.
plus Angelina Jolie.
No, but that's
They're
what
all
I
hanging
thought
out.
it was a major drop, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, what did he like accost her at the red carpet somewhere or something? Like, yeah, he has a pending lawsuit from Angelina
MTV
Jolie.
paid Angelina Jolie $8 million to spend a month with
her
the
butt.
Jersey Shore Crew.
Oh, that'd be a great cameo.
Oh man.
I think
Just
Well-
like some super classy.
I think that just about does it for this episode.
Oh, I ordered a Strymon Iridium, and I'm excited for it.
when do you get it?
Tuesday.
Oh, so 2 days ago.
So all you losers who are like going on Reverb and paying more, just go to Strymon.com. They're right there.
Yeah.
I
You
ordered
guys-
it and it
you
shipped like
guys-
2
It's
hours
designed for you to go direct
Hold the phone. Hold the
to
phone.
Strymon.
You guys.
later. You don't even need a DI
Disney
box.
Plus has Willow. Everyone, stop what you're doing
Willow.
and watch Willow on Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney
Everyone
Plus
do
has
your
everything. I'm telling you, has
do your
Camp
Willow
Nowhere.
impressions.
Go watch
Flight
Camp
of the
Nowhere.
Navigator.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, dude. It has Miracle too, which
Escape
I legit
from Witch
cry
Mountain
every time I
and
watch that movie.
Return to Witch Mountain.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it has everything. Go watch Disney Plus. Get a free week. Don't pay for it. Damn the man.
Well, you know what I did?
And thanks for friendship. Oh, what did you do?
Well,
This better be worth it. Oh, this better be worth it.
if you have Verizon,
Yeah. If you have Verizon, you get it free for a year.
yeah.
Hey, Phil, you know what I think of that? BFD.
Okay.
Butts for ducks.
But can I use your login?
I'll be expecting that in the group chat. Thank you. Thanks for friendship.
Thanks for friendship.
Thanks for friendship.
Dude, we should make that a Patreon perk.
You get to use Phil's Disney Plus
You get
password.
Phil's Disney Plus login.
You get to share this Disney Plus
That would be
login.
so great. But you can only have one profile, so we all have a shared profile that like, oh crap, this one guy is screwing up our history.
That actually would be really funny.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
to pay for one with Patreon money and then let everyone who's in there.
Yeah, just like
Or
a
just let
separate
everybody
one.
who's on the podcast use it.
Oh, well, yeah, that too.
What kind of adult
Turner and
films
Hooch.
do they have on Disney Plus?
Anywho,
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
it's time to go.
That is kind of an adult. That is a fairly adult film.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
It has a human
Thanks
woman
for
who
listening to
has
us
sex
talk
with a
about
rabbit.
things. She's a cartoon, though.
Yeah, but that's even weirder. Because
Yeah,
then
why does
there's
that
also
make it-
actual humans.
There are actual humans. In fact, I believe an actual human records, films the endeavor.
Oh yes, obviously,
A private eye.
obviously a human films it because it's a movie that you can watch.
No,
but
a private
like,
eye
in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Humans don't film cartoons. That's not how cartoons work.
In this world, they do.
I know. I'm saying in the real world.
We're not talking about the real world, Aaron.
Cole was.
I mean,
Oh, I can't wait to watch Pirates of the Caribbean with my kid.
All right. Well, why don't you watch it and stop talking so we can end this episode?
Okay.
it ended already. Let's
Yeah,
go on to
we
the next
ended
one.
You guys didn't say the code word.
We both did. I said thanks for
No,
friendship.
you didn't.
Phil?
We did both say it.
I thought this
Just
was all
say it
part of the
again.
episode.
Just say it again.
Okay.
Phil, just say it.